This is the first of 2 lectures on making Twitter really count. So now we're going to talk about how to actually customize your page in more granular detail. As we spoke about before, you're going to write your bio, you're going to upload a picture of yourself, use hashtags and @signs for your bio, and upload an image for your background. This is really critical branding opportunity. So even though it seems like very simple stuff, you've got to be thinking strategically about how you're going to message yourself. So you need to take some time on this. If you look on my profile page, you'll see my bio, my picture, and my background. So these are the things that people are going to see when they come to your profile page. So let's start with crafting my bio. So it becomes very easy to edit all of this. You no longer have to go into a separate screen and start editing. You can simply click on the box and actually begin editing your bio, which is great because if you find that something's not working for you or you're not getting the right messaging across, you can just go in really easily and directly change that. So as you can see, I've changed my name to Nikki Usher Laser instead of Nikki Usher when I changed my married name. But I still keep my handle at Nikki Usher. So that's something that I changed when I got married. Now you can see below the bio I've written. I use an @sign to refer to the Tau Center, a place where I have a fellowship, and an @sign and a handle that has significant followers to show that I'm affiliated with the Tau Center. I talk about what I do and my most recent book and provide a link to that. So you've got a lot of information about me in just a few characters, right? 160 characters that are given to me, unlike the 140 you get for Twitter, but 160 characters to craft a distinct message for myself. So if you're an organization, you need to think about what organization name you want to show. I do not recommend using acronyms, even though this is DC. Often people use acronyms. If you're from out of DC, you may not be as stuck on the acronym game. But acronyms people aren't going to understand. So make sure if you end up being forced to use an acronym in your handle, which I really hope you don't, make sure to make it really clear what the name of your organization is. You need to think really what the keywords are that define you. And so spend some time brainstorming with colleagues. What are the keywords you're going to put in that bio so people know who you are? Now we're going to talk about changing your profile picture and changing your header photo. So I've picked just a casual photo of myself. You can clearly see my head and my face, so you know what I look like, but I'm wearing a hoodie. I'm not wearing something very businessy. And I chose this, A, because it's just a pretty good picture of me, but B, because I wanted to convey a you can get to know me sort of picture. So it's sort of somewhere between professional and engaging. That was sort of the message I was trying to get across. Other people who are very high profile use sort of silly hipster images. So this woman is, her name is Erie, and she is at the CFPB and now at the White House. And she uses this image, and she's somebody who works at the White House, and she uses this hipster image of herself where you can't really see her face, and she is a serious professional with tons of followers. Again, you can see her using the @signs in her bio. So it doesn't always mean that you have to use a very serious professional picture. However, you can see Benji Sarlin, who is an established journalist here in DC covering politics, using a much more sort of like stated professional picture where you get that very sort of professional profile of his face. So this is something maybe that he's trying to get across to the community he's trying to speak with. So it's a question, again, of what you want to say with your picture. And as, again, you can see the @signs in his profile. So again, connecting with these larger communities. What you see next to his name is a little blue check mark. That little blue check mark means that he's a verified account. A verified account is a special privilege accorded to influential people on Twitter. It's not necessarily decided by the number of followers you have or the number of people who are engaging with you on a daily basis. Instead, Twitter decides that you are an influential person influencing the tenor of the conversation. So don't worry if you don't have a ton of followers. If you are an important organization that establishes yourself as a voice, you too can become a verified account. This is meaningful because it signals to other people that you are somebody who can be trusted. Not to say people who don't have verified accounts don't get trusted, but it's a way of signaling your importance to the larger community on Twitter. So, and on some level, you don't have much control over whether you're going to get this verified account, but it is nice to know that if you get one, it's really a level of respect. So if we're sort of going to put it down, it's a serious versus not so serious photo, and both can help with branding if you do it right. So Emma Caro-Groven is one of the heads of foreign policy, and she is somebody who chose to go with the humorous side. So as you can see, she has cakes in her background to show that she's interested in food, and then she has a picture of herself with a lightsaber. And she actually told me a story about how that picture of a lightsaber helped her get a job. And so she was applying for jobs. She had just gotten off the Obama campaign, didn't really have anything to do. And somebody who hired her next really liked Star Wars, saw this picture of a lightsaber, and immediately called her in for an interview. So these sorts of choices really can begin to define your personality. So, you can make a choice about what kind of personality you want to convey. On the other hand, this is a friend of mine, April Yee. She's a reporter in the Middle East. She takes a very different approach where you have a very serious photo, a very serious background. And I think part of this is because the community she's working with in the Gulf probably doesn't have the same amount of humor as a more loosely defined, sort of engaging journalist community in DC. Other people don't bother to change their backgrounds and still have tons and tons of followers. So it depends on your authority within the Twitter community, how much you have to do with branding yourself. I still think you really have to spend time thinking about the image you're putting forward. The other thing you need to know is you have to figure out what your taskbar really means. So what is this notification sign and what is that little number above it? That's going to tell you how many people have engaged with your handle. So that's a really important thing to check because you know if people are talking to you, if you need to have a conversation with those people, if somebody's favoriting something that you've tweeted to show that they really like what you're saying. That hashtag that you see allows you to learn about hashtags that are trending. That little person, right, gets you to your profile page. If you look at that little message box, that's what allows you to look at your direct messages, right? If you look at that little pen with a square, that's what's actually going to let you tweet. Of course, there's a search bar, and there are now ways to do advanced searches, and you can search for things on Twitter, people's usernames, things that are trending, things that are not trending, specific words, specific names, and that gives you some flexibility to look at what's happening on Twitter. So again, looking more closely, that's your search bar, your direct messages, and the place you actually tweet. You can also see the gears icon. That's where you can get into more sophisticated settings, such as setting up lists, and we'll talk about that in a second. The other thing you really want to make sure you're doing on your profile view is checking your tweets and replies. This is a really good self-assessment of how much you're engaging with people and who you're engaging with. So make sure that there are a lot of replies happening because that's how you engage the active audience. So over the course of this advanced Twitter first session, we've talked a lot about how to begin branding yourself and how to use the underlying Twitter background and scene and what all of those icons actually mean so you can use Twitter in a more sophisticated way.